But now that I'm on the tip of 80s films, yeah, I wrote a thing on my blog Nerdist.com about, it was called An Open Letter from Doc Brown to Marty McFly, just about the idea of like when at the end of the movie where he's like, oh, I got to get back and save Doc. 10 minutes ought to do it. 10 minutes? You have a friggin' time machine. You could go back a year and save his life. Why would you go back 10 minutes to get from the town square to now Lone Pine Mall because you ran over a tree, you douchebag? Ridiculous. So then that stirred up in you some
feelings,
some BTTF feelings.
Yes.
And you wrote a treatise, if you will, of things that have always bothered you about Back to the Future. Do you want to rifle through a couple of those?
Yeah, sure.
And then Mike, as another BTTF fan, you can.
Mike and I were talking about this in the lobby. We're both fanatics. We were impassioned.
I don't care about the backstory. I just want the.
Oh dear. So let's say first thing that has always bothered me. It's right at the beginning of the movie. Marty comes in. He's plugs into Doc's amplifier for some reason.
Is that a euphemism for something?
8 o'clock in the morning, the kid wants to play guitar really loud on a school day. He goes...
Well, he can't play it with those nerds he's living with back in...
That's very true. That's
back
very true.
The Lion Estates.
So Doc...
That pie of sadness.
Doc's not around. The food hasn't been there for days. And then Doc calls and the clocks go off. Yeah, Doc, it's 8 o'clock. And then Doc's like, fantastic, my experiment worked. They're all 25 minutes ahead. Or 25 minutes slow.
Excellent vocal characterization, by the way.
Thank you.
So
that leads me to my first thought is, what the hell is Doc doing? I think, honest to God, he's just trying to mess with Marty. Because there's no reason.
I could never figure out the experiment there either, that the clocks are all 25 minutes ahead. He didn't jam all those clocks into the car.
No.
Transport them. He didn't transport his lab.
Seriously, the only reason is that he wanted to mess with Marty. Because he knew Marty would be by. Why else would he be calling?
Right.
So I think he just wanted to mess with Marty, get him 4 tardies in a row. I don't know what happens at 4 tardies in a row. That's up to the principal. I have no idea.
Because if he didn't do that,
Mr. Strickland.
Back to the Future would only have 3. Are you telling me?
It's true.
So he needed the 4th.
I would weigh those "Are you telling me's" against all the times that Wolverine screamed out. To the heavens.
Angry at the sky.
Yep.
The Back to the Future is just rife with these sorts of weird little problems that you over repeat viewings. First time you watch it, it's flawless.
Like, I don't understand how Marty gets involved with the Dharma Initiative. Am I wrong about that?
Wait a minute.
Wait, am I crossing to...
Yeah,
I think that's a different...
Are you telling me this is a generic can of beans that just says beans on it? Are you telling me Horace is the leader, but this other guy is really strong-arming everyone? What's going on with that?
And then somehow Doc finds Libby and terrorists in 1985. I don't know how he did that. It's
Libby and terrorists? Libby's not on the show anymore.
Libby? I didn't... Does she know?
Libby? She quit. On Lost? We're talking about Lost now.
See, I don't watch Lost.
Yes, I don't know how he... You what?
I don't watch Lost.
Are you serious?
Freckles.
I'm very
Gotta
serious.
watch Lost.
You will go out of your way to go watch Dave Matthews do a 59-minute guitar jam solo, but you won't sit on your couch and watch a show on your DVR?
Right. That is absolutely correct. There's too much... it got to be a big thing, and there were only 2 seasons, and
You know what,
it's
Matt? You know what? I root for the golf cart now in your video.
Oh, man. That's harsh.
Dear. It's happening again.
All right. So what was the other? What was your other gripe?
Well, so there's that. How does he get in contact with Libyan terrorists? It's ridiculous that, like, how do they find each other? Some network of terrorists seeking doctors, or some sort of just, I don't know, like a singles page where they're looking for each other.
SLT, single Libyan terrorist, looking for
seeking doctor to
COD,
build.
crazy old doctor.
Please include pinball machine parts. That, and then I'll just touch on the last thing, which is at the end of the movie, for some reason, Marty gets up. It's Saturday morning. Dave and his sister, who's named Linda, is it Linda? Dave and Linda. They're sitting at the kitchen table eating breakfast Saturday morning. Dave's wearing a suit, and of course Marty's going to say, "Hey Dave, what's with the suit?" And he's like, "What? I always wear this to the office, Marty. Did you fall asleep in your clothes again?" Like, it's like, for some reason he's going to the office on a Saturday. I don't buy it.
Well, what always bothered me was that he was when they're like, "Oh, the car's wrecked," and then Dave gets all bummed out. Like, "What do you mean the car's wrecked? If they're so freaking successful, how come they only have one 5 Series BMW? Like,
right.
And how come Marty has a truck to go bang his girlfriend, but Dave, who has a job that requires a suit, has no car?"
Yeah.
I think they're all sharing a car. And
was one of the things that why is Biff working for?
yes, why is Biff, who in this timeline at this point has attempted to rape Lorraine Baines McFly?
Right.
At one point in this now new timeline, Biff is in his Oldsmobile, in Doc's Oldsmobile, trying to rape. He says, "Get out of here, McFly. If you know what's good for you, I'm gonna rape the girl you came to the thing with." And of course, George McFly stands up to him the first time, punches him right in the face. They live happily ever after, and apparently they need someone to wax their cars. So, hey, you know who I'm going to get? I'm going to get that guy that tried to rape you.
I tried to wax my wife.
I think George McFly read 48 Laws of Power, and he was always hire your attempted rapist. It'll be the most loyal employee you have.
It's a good move.
Well, not really that loyal. He's trying to mess with him and not put the second coat of wax on his car.
Well, Biff, I'm always willing to cut him the slack there. I think he did put the second coat on, and George was just messing with him.
So it's like, yeah, can you also wax my kid's car? I know you attempted to rape my wife and their mother, but seriously, you have the best deal in town.
I know you tried to get in my wife's vagina before my son was physically in there, but why don't you wax his vehicle?
Yeah, could you please? It would do us a favor, and I think Biff has the best prices in town.
Hey. You think so?
I think he does because of the $300 damage Marty caused to his car.
Oh, yeah.
I think he felt like that was a real ripoff, and he spent the last 30 years trying to cut down on prices for car detailing in Hill Valley.
Hey, you want to come and try to rape Lorraine again just for old time's sake?
What if they had rape fantasies like that, and somehow we don't know because we only see this new 1985. I was talking to Mike about this. Literally, we only see it for like 38 minutes of time.
But and by the way, they're still in the same crappy house at Lyon Estates.
I feel like at that point, George was just looking for a deal.
You think so?
That's why they ended up in that house.
So he's cheap. I also love that you pointed out that his brain, that he would lose his mind when he ultimately grew up and watched Star Wars and heard Van Halen and watched Star Trek and like all those references.
Yeah, he would have 2 mental breaks that would be pretty severe.
Yeah.
And
but he would think, you said that your thing was that he would be convinced that Darth Vader had come down and given the idea to George Lucas and given the idea to...
he would obviously now realize that really happened.
That's where his fortune came from. Was in trying to sue
in the Space Love book that he writes. Do you think that he changed their names? Like he had to. Obviously, he couldn't use Vulcan anymore.
See, and that's the whole thing too. And I think this is the oldest one in the book. But why don't they recognize Marty as like, aren't you the kid that hooked us up?
Well,
and you
I think
look
that
identical?
George has had his suspicions that at one point in 1965, Marty came back into Lorraine's life.
Do you know how much amazing, dramatic, disturbing fan fiction we could write just in like a spin-off series of
I'm into it.
Of Marty going back and impregnating all sorts of weird people. And...
Hey, by the way, do you know where Dave, his brother?
Yeah.
Do you know where he works?
No.
Gray's Sports Publishing.
Sports Almanac. Well, now you're getting into the second one.
There you go.
I think and this may be a little gross here. I think Marty should have had sex with his mother.
Yes.
And if he's
his own father.
Well, but the second he ejaculated into her, he would disappear from existence, which would totally ruin her life. The only guy she had sex with,
when the two Van Dams get together,
just vanished the second.
Oh my God! He would annihilate himself.
Well,
he'd
that's
be
like
anti-Marty.
That's on Lost because Jeremy Davies is playing Daniel Faraday.
That's right.
I had this theory that I'd hoped that he would go back in time and sleep with his own mother in a spin-off called Spanking the 12 Monkeys.
By the way, I also think that Dave wouldn't be named Dave. Dave would be Marty.
You think Dave would be Marty?
Because they were like, that's a nice name. Oh, let's name him Marty. He's why we're together.
Interesting.
So, double confusing.
This already implausible premise seems to have other holes.
Rewrite.